Welcome to the Cash Game Study Group. Let's look at a hand that I played at a home game. So I played a home game this week. Small stakes, 50 cents a dollar. I open and a young lady who was quite active, and I would say probably well studied, was quite aggressive with her pre-flop play. Chose to three bet.
My first question here is just about stack sizes. I guess they are not accurate, but um, she has 600 big blinds.
She did have $600 in front of her, yes.
And
$590. Yeah.
and is she by far the one with the most chips at the table and playing active aggressive?
Um, yeah, she was. She was actually, yeah, she stacked someone and it started off pretty deep. So I had not had a great night so far, but she had had a very good night, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
towards the end of the night here. Um, so this is where we were. I had about 170 big blinds in front of me, about $170. She had about a little bit less than 600. So yeah, she was a very good player. She was very active. She understood the value of isolating. Sizes weren't that big in this game, obviously. So we elect a call here. I think this is a conventional call, especially to this size.
Yep.
And we get a very interesting flop, which is why I brought this in. So we obviously have now flopped a combo draw to a gutter and the nut flush. My question was, how does solver play this? And how does solver play against these particular sizes?
I I only
Um,
know that I personally would always check here, not not doing anything
yeah,
else.
I'm not gonna have many, I'm not gonna have any dunks here. We'll see if I gave the solver the option to dunk here for two sizes, and it didn't actually dunk here. Yeah, I'm not gonna put this in my dunking range. I think probably would have to have a little bit more connectivity and be rainbow. I think maybe we do a little donks, but we'll see
Mm.
in the solve. I want to show it. Share. These are the ranges, but then we'll go back to the hand. But just to start this off, this is a jump ball in equity. They're the in position player. This is a three better. I'm out of position. So it's a jump ball from the beginning. Um, so this is what makes this an interesting solve. He, the imposition player does not have a clear um, range advantage in this hand, in theory.
Do you think she will have hands like King Nine suited, Queen Nine suited in the three betting range, or
I,
the
yeah,
suited
absolutely.
aces like
I saw a
yep.
couple of showdowns which were quite aggressive, three bets. So yeah, that's why I enjoy making these custom solves because I think, in the end, a solve is about range versus range interaction in SBR. So this allows me to put in um, what I estimate to be a particular player's actual three bet range. So here's the hand. So we start off, we've got a pretty heavy SPR. What is this? Five, eight, SPR eight. And I do check. So she starts off with kind of a conventional sizing. She puts in $8. Now this is my decision point, right? I can choose now, start a check raise strategy, or I can choose to call. Clearly, we have a breaking up. We're not doing anything but raising or calling. Uh, in game, I chose passive line, and that's what I'm most curious about. Listening is if we do choose an check raise line, this is perfect check raise candidate. What's it look like to the solver? So,
So uh, first of all, if I like the call here, um, and if I would check raise, I think I prefer to check raise something like King 10 suited, Queen 10 suited, Queen 9 suited. Um, just
yeah,
for the
I think we
reason,
want to generate folds more when we have king high, right? Because this hand is can make the nuts, and you can cool her here. If she's making this line with like queen 10 suited.
and we also, I mean, if you raise here and she has a flush draw, let's say she has King 10 here, obviously she would continue, but it doesn't really matter because if you just call and somehow the flush hits, then you get all the money anyways.
Yeah,
That's
that's true.
mm,
That's true. So I choose to call. Kind of. This really isn't a good card for us. This because we now have only one combo of fives. We
mhm.
would prefer to sort of two of the three of spades, actually, I guess. So so we choose to check here. I don't think we're gonna have any leads on this hand, on this card. She makes it 14. She makes about half, which is interesting here, right? So she doesn't really go polar. She chooses a half size. And I think this is another opening for me to check raise if I choose. She didn't really go. I think the more conventional sizing here would be like a B75 or pot, especially at this SPR. She's trying to get it in. So she chose, I think, what is a somewhat smaller size. There might be a place for like a check raise here to like 45, maybe 30, and then be done with it if we don't hit. But I choose to call. And now we have what could be construed as a bluff catcher. This is also, I think, an interesting spot, right? Now we're beating all her bluffs. Beating king, queen, ace, king, ace, queen. And now she went polar. And she chooses a bigger
Uh,
size. She chooses close to
hmm.
pot. She chooses like 48 bucks, 50 bucks into 63. This also is, I think, a very um, bluffy line where you make a small bet, you make a relatively small bet, and then you pot. Really, if you have the nuts here, let's say if you have aces with the ace of spades, you're more interested in getting it in against like my tens, my jacks, my queens. So your size here on turn is usually not going to be half pot. Usually it's going to be bigger if you're trying to get it in against queens and jacks.
Hmm.
And so I choose to fold.
So,
So yeah,
uh,
go ahead, Bozer.
yeah, but I'm not sure about turn, because oftentimes if the middle pair pairs, like here, the five, it's oftentimes better for out of position, but only in wide ranges. I think here the five doesn't really matter. I don't know. I'm not sure about that because yeah, we can both have 6-5. I guess both can have ace five suited. So maybe you have to respect it a little bit. or she as well. But I'm not sure about that.
I think it's probably good for imposition
Yeah,
because
it should be better
because
because she has all the
we have more
overpairs.
fives here, and so we have more sets of fives on flop. But this now reduces our fives to one combo instead
Hmm.
of three. But I think it's really better for her, for
I
imposition
mean,
player.
we're more likely to have the full house for sure.
Yeah, yeah, we have more sixes and fives, but this
And
reduces our combos of fives.
yeah, and deuces if we play it, but you should probably fold pre mostly, but depends on the game.
Yeah. All right. So you guys have seen the line. Let's look at the solve. Okay, so these are the ranges I gave. I gave her. She's in position. I'm out of position. This is pretty much what I'm going to play here. Uh, it's, I would probably be tighter here against. Uh, here's me. I would be tighter here against a more conventional player live. Where I think three bet ranges are a little bit more linear. But here I chose to extend, I think, what my range would be. Clearly, I got these up for you. They were an aggressive, good player, so I think they're going to have lots of three bet bluffs. She was consistently three betting and isolating and trying to play heads up on that.
If they're
Good
aggressive,
player.
why didn't you put in the full bet? I feel like ace four is a good candidate, no? You just decided not to this time? You would do that sometimes? Or you didn't know
Um,
yet?
yeah, I think a four bet would have been good. Um, I think I would have chosen the Magic Solver hand a little bit more. Um, but generally, I think my four bets are linear. I don't have very many four bet bluffs left, but there's certainly a place for them, especially against a player like this. This would have been a good four bet candidate. I agree. Um, so yeah, I think this player had a pretty robust three bet range, and I saw this because I saw some showdowns that she had, and she showed up with some hands that not a lot of people find live. The three bet, like she had some king nine suited in there. She had some sort of connectors, stuff like that. Okay, so here is here are the ranges. So we start off with about 86 combos, 87 combos. She has a little bit more, 110 combos. So I don't think these ranges are too far off from what a solver would use pre-flop. Maybe a little bit aggressive.
Yeah, it looks fine.
What
Like what
question?
Yeah, sure. Hey, Brian.
When you said she was aggressively three betting, were you seeing showdowns at all? Or was it more or less just a high frequency and you assumed that it was too much?
Now we saw some showdowns. We saw
Okay.
like a suited connector in there
Oh, nice.
and like a queen nine suited.
And I'm late. Are we in position or we're out of position
We are the out of position defender.
with ace four suited?
It's ace four suited, yes.
Ooh, okay.
Um, Here, I'll show you the hand first, just real quick.
This is live, I'm
Well, I
assuming.
play small stakes, $1.50. 50 cents a dollar. I open.
Online?
No, this is live.
Home game?
Home game.
Okay.
Uh, Very interesting flop. This is why I thought I'd bring this to the group.
Ooh, wow. Okay. So,
Bet we could check raise. I did chose not to. In retrospect, I think that would be a very interesting line, which is why I created the solve. She chooses this size half, which is also interesting. Not really going polar.
what's the
I choose
frequency that we check raise with our combo on or our combo on that board in a three bet pot out of position?
we mix according to the solve. So first thing is that yeah, we've got a jump ball, right? this is not her hand. If this is a different, obviously, if this is like ace, king, 10, she would have a massive range advantage. But the thing that, take away from this initially is that she doesn't own this pot. And what's interesting is she doesn't own this pot um, when we don't have kings and we don't have aces and we have very few queens. This we essentially overcome that disadvantage here on flop because of the texture, because one of our defend ranges. So we essentially have a jump ball, which is interesting. A lot of times when I bring these kind of custom solves for the group, it's like crazy. One side has range advantage and the other side does not. But
Yeah.
but this one is not the case.
I have a question. Why do we not have 5s and 4s in range here?
Because I'm a nit.
I'm not. My question is, then I wouldn't want to I would rather not defend ace 4 over those smaller pairs. That's what doesn't make sense to me, is like, if you'd rather defend that, it's kind of odd to me. I feel like I think that the pairs are better to defend and I think that if we're saying that her range is, she's 3-betting wide, then ace 4 becomes, like, I agree with Lewis that I think it becomes a much better 4-bet bluff.
Well,
And
I don't think I'm not sure I have 4s and 5s in my opening range at this early
okay.
position.
Okay, where you at? I didn't
I'm
see
like, UTG. There's like 8, 9 people at the table, and I'm like UTG 1.
Okay.
So I'm
Yeah.
not necessarily opening this very bottom of my range.
Okay, that's fair enough.
I'm a pretty tight player. I'm not, especially in early position. Like if I open, like in these games, if I open early position, a lot of times, you get 6 callers. Now that's great. 13% of the time you hit a 5 on the flop.
Yeah, no, I
But,
agree with not
but
opening.
otherwise,
That's an
it's like,
adjustment I've made. Is I'm not
how the fuck am I
opening.
going to play these under pairs? And there's 3
Well,
people behind me.
yeah, I think like ace 4 and ace 5 are absolutely the worst aces that I'm opening from those positions, and they're going to be, depending on the dynamic of the table, I might not open them from early position just because of one, my open size is inflated, but also the fact, like, if I'm getting called so often, I don't really want to have ace 5 and ace 4 going to the flop in that spot, But yeah, I mean,
Yeah, these aren't easy hands to play either, but I'm a little bit of a solver nerd, so I'm quite addicted to the magic solver hand.
yeah, that's fine.
Ace 5 and ace 4. I want to play it.
Okay,
So
so we don't have those lower pairs, and that probably contributes to this range thing, because this only gives us one set here.
yeah, true.
Yeah,
We don't have 5s and 2s.
I don't know. I'm close. I would say if I'm opening ace 4, I think I'm definitely opening pot 4s. That's my problem. I think I would have that. I would just probably wouldn't play either if I'm not playing, if I don't want to be opening them from that position. But all right,
Yeah,
whatever.
that's fine. I don't think you have to play ace 5, ace 4 from early position.
All right. So
Generally, we know that all the suited aces are opens.
that's in low jack.
So,
Low jack.
I think suited
I think
aces are also full ring open.
I think it's wheel aces and like ace 9 suited plus, maybe ace 10 suited plus. I don't think we play as much of the like ace 6, ace 7, ace 8. I don't know.
Well,
I could be wrong though. I haven't looked. That's like 6 max is what I remember. I haven't looked at 8. I
it
don't remember 8 max
depends
normal.
on the rig probably, but I'm
Oh
definitely
yeah.
gonna have the suited aces in here. You
Okay.
want to make the nuts this deep, right?
Yeah.
So that's why
All right.
we're playing it.
Okay, let's move on.
So here we go. So we're never donking. I gave the option to donk to the solver, and it chooses not to take it. So we check. Now she's always going to bet in theory. We don't know what she had, but she's always betting. And she is mixing the size that she chose, which is $8. So just to remind you guys, pot, this equates to a pot of stacks of $160. This equates to a pot of $20. We add a digit so that we can put in a more granular sizing, and we're using it's custom solves and same thing you do by a solver. This is kind of the convention when you use any kind of solver for cash. You add a digit. So she's betting across her entire range. Yeah.
Can you move the height to full height?
For see, okay.
I think it's on bar height. Yeah, I don't like seeing the mixes.
Really?
I mean,
Um,
it makes it
sure.
easier to read. Yeah, for me.
Is that easier?
Cool. There you go.
Yeah, yeah.
So, so she's betting everything. So this is the first decision point, which is interesting in the Sam's. She bets what is a conventional sizing here for her entire range. She's betting this with her entire range. And where do our check races come from? So we can see the red and the orange. These are our check races. Our hand is a really good check race candidate with the combo draw. Notice we're not doing it with the ace five because we have showdown with the five. But ace four, combo draw to the three, or spade is a great candidate. We've got a shit ton of equity. We actually essentially have more of the pot share. And so this was a good candidate. Let's look at our other good check raise candidates. 6-5, two pair, obviously is a good one. Here's our sixes with 90% equity. They are mixing. All right. So we're really actually, let's see how much we're actually check raising on this. Check raising about 12-13%. So, we see this percentage over and over in the solver. No place between 10 to 15%, even in single raise pots. So we're check raising, I think, the normal amount. Queens likes protection. That's an excellent check raise. The question now, the other question, which Bob posed before, which is a good question. Do we check raise more with our non-ace high? So ace queen here, by the way, this is using a big sizes. This equates to raising to 300 to 34 bucks, which is at a 4x. So it really likes to use ace queen as a very aggressive check raise. Ace jack is in there. Now the question is, are we check raising more with the king X? We are, and we see. So here's the numbers. Here's the frequency here on the right. King queen suited, queen spades. We call half the time, check raise half the time. Now let's compare that to like ace queen. We're making this play less so. So this confirms what you were saying, Above. Notice also here, can you guys see my cursor when I move it around?
Yeah.
Cool. Also notice it's using this very, very polar sizing. I don't know why it's choosing to be so aggressive with ace queen suited, maybe because it has two big cards that can make pairs. I don't know why. You guys have any guesses? You're welcome to venture them. So, and then the other thing, we're not check raising all admitted pairs here, right? We're just gonna play out of position. Hope we get the showdown. Ace king off is another hand I think we're gonna have a lot here. I'm gonna 4-bet ace queen suited. It's a lot ace king suited. It's a lot easier to play when it's suited. And our check raising is coming from the ace of spades. So this I think I'll find more because I want to generate folds, right? So I think in game I would find this check raise more than I would our hand, which is ace 4, which I had. King 9, check raising a lot, like Roosevelt was saying, half the time. King 9 spade, check raising. All right, there we go. So unfortunately, I wish I'd taken the check raise when I was a very aggressive player, but I did not. So we choose to call. And our turn is the 5 of clubs. Notice here, this is like essentially a turn report. We don't have it. There's no hands, no cards to give us a donk here.
Was it a
So
5 or a 4?
it was a 5 of clubs.
Okay. I thought you made showdown on the turn.
On the river.
Okay, that was a river. Okay.
So let's go back here. I think there's a way for me to actually 5. I don't know. That's very helpful. Never mind. Okay, turn here. No donks here. 5. It's funky. 5 of clubs, right? Okay, we check. So this is where it diverges from solve. Invariably, when we look at these at one point, one player diverges from the solver stone. And she chose in game a bet of
Half pot.
yeah, she chose in game a bet of half pot. Solver does not use this side. Solver does not like to use 14 bucks here. I gave it the option to use that's equates to 141. Solver is gone polar. It's either using a massive sizing of an overbet right here, right? Into a pot of 372. It's choosing to bet $57, or it's choosing to use $28. It's not using 14. And so I kind of wish in game I'd picked up on this because I don't know if she's that studied. She's aggressive.
You kind
And
of
I
did,
think
Larry, though. You just said, oh, they bet bigger with their overpairs. And she didn't. That's exactly what the solver's doing here. It's pushing its nut advantage because it knows you don't have any quads and you only have ace 5 suited a tiny bit of the time.
yeah.
That's
Well, I think I picked up on it after the fact when I picked up on it when I was looking at. I think in game I wish I had maybe a better way to put it is in game I wish I had pounced on what could be perceived as weakness.
I would shy away from giving people too much credit.
For being able to
yeah.
bluff.
Yeah, well, I would shy that what they're doing is as complex as as how deeply you're thinking about it.
Yeah, I
We
mean
may not be
they
the best players in the world, but the general player pool that you're playing against or that I'm playing against is leagues below the level of study that we are in the game.
they might not even like see an overbet in the games like ever.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, I would say because I wasn't paying attention just now, but I just shy away from giving people too much credit for being able to bluff or that they're doing something because they know that this is the right size they're supposed to be taking with their repairs and their bluffs, or are they just sizing down because they're bluffing and they're scared and they want you to fold and they don't want to, but they don't want to put out a big old bet.
Yeah, I think you got good points. But I think her smaller sizing here does allow us to check raise. Like when she chooses a half pot, kind of like a fishy half pot, I think we get a check raise here more. I think our check raise frequency on turn in solver and with humans should be very much correlated to how big their sizing is on turn.
Yeah. So when she sizes down, so on the flop she takes a big size is what happens, right?
No, on flop she took a kind of conventional third size, and on
So she
turn she
does
took kind of a conventional half size. An
okay.
unconventional half size. She should be taking the bigger size.
It-
So this doesn't. We're not gonna. I'm not sure if solver because solver didn't choose her size ever, which is $14. So I don't know if solver's gonna allow us to really go down that part of the game tree because
So
it didn't
if
solve
I
it.
had to read something into the sizing, I would say it's kind of polar. It's like aces or kings, which are not too afraid of any cards on the river.
Um,
Especially when they have a
it's definitely
spade.
okay. I'm gonna, Roosevelt, I'm gonna argue it's not polar. I'm gonna argue that a half sizing on turn is
I
fishy,
mean,
right? It's
in
like it's untrained. It's someone
No,
who doesn't play. And you're right, sometimes it's gonna be aces and kings.
I mean,
But
with polar, I mean not the sizing. The sizing, obviously, it's a small sizing, right? But the range she should use for that could be polar in a way, like it could be aces or kings and some flush draws.
yeah, okay. I think you're right. I think she
one thing that's funny about live is that in general, it's usually not that way. Like their bigger sizes are generally linear, and their
Mhm.
smaller sizes are the sizes that have a lot more bluffs in them. It's like the exact opposite of the way it's supposed to be. Is generally the way it happens. So I would say, like when she's taking a small size, I would say that when the board pairs, she could possibly be concerned that of you having 5x in that
yeah.
spot. And if that would be the main reason that she ever has an overpair that goes this size, I think most of the time they're just going massive with their overpairs.
Well, let me ask you a question, yeah, Brian,
Yeah.
because you're one of the more practiced aggressive players in the group here. When you saw this, let's say if you chose to call on flop and you saw this size live on turn and you have our combo or combo draw, actually, would you ever consider a check raise here or would you ever consider a donk here on turn?
Okay. How much? We are like super deep, right?
Right here, there's our pot to stack on turn. So
Yeah.
we're
I
like
mean,
four. That's
she
just
goes.
four.
She goes somewhat small on flop, and then what's the size exactly on turn? 141.
She's $14. Yeah, you can
Okay.
equate this to $14 into a pot of 37.
Um, I would have almost certainly check raised the flop, but on the turn, when I get here, if I check called for some reason to that size, and then I got to the turn here and she took this size, I would consider like this would be a good time for a one street check raise bluff, is what my thought would be here is that when I get called, when I check raise here, I think this size is going to scream more of weaker hands than they are
Mhm.
stronger hands. And I'm going to go for the check raise now. And when I get called, I'm not barreling the river. This is going to be like a one street. Hopefully they fold now, and hopefully I get there on the river
Yeah, I think that would have been a good line. I think that would
because
have been a good line. A one and
think
done check raise here, and then check give up if you don't
yeah.
check that.
I mean, what can we get to fold here? So if you said she's probably three betting too wide, the problem with this is that your configuration should be tight here. So like she shouldn't have a ton. I don't know. It really depends how aggressive she is. Like in this spot, I would still have a lot of shit hands that I'm three betting you with, even though you opened early, just because I know that when I get four bet, I can fold out, and when I get to play heads up in position, that's great for me.
Yeah,
So
I gave her a pretty aggressive hand
yeah.
there.
So when she barrels off, you have enough hands. It's like, yeah, what you make a lot of times you end up making her fold hands that you have beat, but you have ace high, and you can't really call the third street if she is bluffing with ace high.
Yeah.
So you have a shitload of equity in your hand, and I'm smelling some weakness. So
Yeah, I
see
think
if I can make you fold right now.
yeah, I think this would have been a good spot to check raise. So
Yeah,
so she bets 14. Silver does have worked this out a little bit. So the queens are going crazy here, which is important to see, right? Our queens now want to. I gave it the option to click. I gave it the option to go to $56. And I
Wait,
gave it a shove. It shows
how
a
how
very
does how does Sol have a strategy here? I thought in position had 0%, 14.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Like how do we have a strategy? I thought the Sol, if you click on the in position, didn't it say
Yeah,
0%? It
yeah,
was
zero.
choosing
Yeah, we
this.
do. It does give us
So
some
how's there a
strategy.
strategy here on the, if there's no data?
Um, well, the only answer I would think is that it's got a very small amount of data. And also what happens, I think, is that as it converges to what its equilibrium is, it's going to have it's in the billions of times or whatever. I think it's literally millions of times that it's run this hand. It certainly has lines where they use a smaller size here on turn, and then we have a reaction to that. Excuse me. And it doesn't just discard that data. I think it probably puts that data in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess so.
So we check. You're right. It doesn't really have a small bet, but in the millions of times it ran this to get to its equilibrium of 0.3 exploitability, it ran this line tons of times. Still, it doesn't just discard. It doesn't throw away that data. I don't think it just has that data set in there. So we've got. So let's if she took a more conventional line, check, and then she bet essentially $28 into 38, which is like in the 70, P70. We are check raising very little against that size. This is important to see. So exactly what Brian was saying before, as a percentage, the smaller size is going to allow for bigger check raises, right? So here, it's check raising about 5%, roughly. Here, when it uses the smaller size, what is that? 9 plus 4.2, 13, 14%. So I think the solver's telling us what humans are thinking is that when she uses this half pot, this kind of fishy half non-polar half pot, we've got more check raises.
Also, it's double the size of her last bet.
Yeah, it's pretty much double size the last bet. So we can't go down this line after turn because it doesn't have it. But essentially, this is the point, is that we could have taken a check raise with our combo. It's a very good one. Also, it's important to see what our check raises are here. It's important to see queens are an option for check raise.
Yeah, it's basically queens and bluffs, right?
Queens and bluffs, yeah. And also our sets. If we didn't check raise on flop, now when she uses a smaller size, we want to start getting money with our sets in. So check. Let's just give her a conventional size. Well, by the way, guys, we'll move on in a couple of minutes. We're getting to the end of this. But if she had chosen this P70, we now are mixing shoves with our combo. Fives, which have. So the pair, notice the pair, which has a semblance of showdown, and also the flush draw are just calling with their.
This is trips.
Yep.
Yeah, we
it's
have
trips.
trips.
Sorry, it's trips. Yeah, sorry.
I was about to say we got a very good hand.
Yeah, my apologies. So we're never raising this, right? With 95%. But still our queens, when she uses this bigger size, are just like, the purple is all in. They're like, just here, eat some of this. It's going all in. So and then, obviously it's a ghost line if we take the line she took, but we're just gonna fall the river. So let's just go down one more line here real quick, and then we'll move on to your guys' hands.
But okay, so if we call here, we can call, right? Calling is
we're always
fine.
calling. There's no. We're shook if she had used this big size, this essentially B70.
Yeah.
We're shook with our pairs, right? With our low pairs.
But
Would be
the
different.
green, but I do see green on the ace four suited. So you're saying there's no calling? I see
But
calling.
we are calling with our combo draw. We're never folding our combo draw.
Yeah. So if we call and the four comes on the river, what now?
If we get there on the river, or with our
Just
hand.
you just call and the river card was a four, right?
Yeah,
Four
the river
of
card was the 4 of hearts, I think, 4 diamonds.
Yeah.
So notice we do have some dunks. Getting a little bit of dunks here. The 4 of diamonds.
So we check, and
check.
she did bet.
And she did not use it. The solver wants it's all or nothing here. It
Okay.
has some small betting, but let's say it uses this size. We are indifferent.
Wow. Are we also indifferent against the jam? No, we are not, right? We are. Whoa, we're actually calling every time. Okay, interesting.
Let's see. So let me make sure this is the jam, and then it's a good call because she's got so many. She must have a lot of bluffs in her jam. So if we look here in position graphs,
Yeah,
so
she
this
has
is
flush draws, right?
so in
Which she
theory, these are all her value jams, right? So
Hmm.
jacks are kind of her lowest value jam up to the 6s she has. And then but then this is the solver, so it's got lots of bluffs on this line around like busted flush draws, busted like queen jack suited. So there's enough bluffs here when she takes this line that we're gonna hero call with a 4. In theory, right?
Maybe you should have called the river against her.
I
No.
thought about it.
No, I don't think.
I thought about it.
I need
So
to
let's
see. I need to let someone else pay the price for that.
Good point. Fair enough.
So let's just quickly go down the check raise line, right? It's great to talk about a check raise, but constructing the check raise line is a different story. So it makes sense for us to, I think, as a team, work out how we would play this as a check raise.
I think that's the easiest way to play the game is check raise the shit out of people all the time.
Yeah, well, that's an option, but it helps, I think, the group to understand how we construct that line, right? How do
Yeah.
we build that line at this stack depth? Like, how do we? It's one thing. It's awesome to check raise on. This is an awesome check raise candidate, but what do we do on turn river? How do we construct this line? When do we give up? What cards are good? So, I think it makes sense to spend a little bit of time on this, and then we'll move on. So, check. They get to use this bet size here. Now, what size does it like to use? The solver like to use for our check raise? It mixes between raising to 25 bucks and raising to 16. So essentially, it uses a click here, right? We sometimes shy away from the click because, well, that's that's really fishy. But it's using it will use sometimes a very clicky size here. In fact, it's mixing click across all its check raises. Its value check raise obviously is down here with 6s. It's mixing that sizing in. And here's our bluff, our perfect bluff check raise. It's mixing that in. But in game, I probably spent way too much time in the solver land, so I don't really find clicks enough. But a click would be interesting here. So
I wouldn't go first here.
You would not?
No, I would go big and I want to start applying pressure to what hands are going to continue to my check raise. So when I check raise, when I get called, what do I expect to get called by? I expect to get called by some 6x, which says she's 3-betting me wider. So some 6x, 7, 8, 7, 6, 6, 5s never folding. Pocket 7s, pocket 8s, pocket 9s.
Here, well, let's look at her range. So this is her range.
Yep.
She's folding out. She's calling more. First thing to know is that she's calling more. She's folding even when you use this big size, right?
Yeah.
I think this will overperform against humans. But why don't you go through what you anticipate her range to be live here?
Her range
What she calls.
that
Yeah.
calls, I think, becomes basically flush draws, over pairs, top pair type hands, and straight draws. That becomes what her range is when you check raise there.
Yeah.
So I would say that it'd be really dependent. Like when I get called in this spot, is this the type of person that I'm going to be able to make lay down a hand like sevens, eights, and nines in the spot. And I honestly just don't think that she has a ton of that goes really small. Most players are just probably going to go bigger with a hand like that on the flop, trying to deny equity to all your overcards that float. So I would say, like, most of the time here, she has a lot of bullshit that's just stabbing and we get the fold. When she calls, I would weight her towards more draws. And then the occasional overpairs and top pairs that are in there still. And on the turn, how would I want to react to that then if that's her range? I would say I'm ahead of all of her draws, technically.
Yeah.
But a lot of her draws, I think you could go small then on the turn and leave yourself a really big bet for the river, because I think you're gonna even be able to put a hand like if I got to the river here with like pocket eights and somebody took this line against me, I am not gonna want to call off the river when somebody jams on me. Like, it's just gonna be a really shitty spot because you just expect that you don't know how you're ahead. Like, what would you think you're ahead of here if you got to the river with pocket eights and somebody went check raise flop, bets like probably I would go like 3/4 on turn, and then but I'd be basically leaving enough that I have a pretty chunky overbet on the river. So my turn size
Yeah.
would basically just be what's going to leave me like a 1.5x pot river bet.
Yeah, you're thinking about SPR there.
Yeah, and then
Let's go through this line and then we'll move on. So if we do take this line, first thing is that we're getting a lot of better hands to fold, right? We're getting ace king is folding, ace queen is folding. This is amazing. Ace nine is folding.
yep.
Love it. So we raise, they call, and we get the repeat 5 of clubs. Now this is, we can look at this turn report here because now we're the aggressor. And this turn report can begin to tell you a little bit about what hands to continue on, what hands to give up, et cetera, et cetera. So the hands that we were most interested in are, so the first horizontal or vertical bar are the spades, right? So this includes our entire check raise range. This is how we're reacting, not just our hand. So notice all the spades are good, right? Because that brings in all our check raise bluffs. So when you have a spade come, regardless of whether you're check raising the flush or not, you want to bet on that. And that's a small size with this. It also loves to bet these overcards, which is a little bit surprising, but I'll buy it because we saw that she was folding out a lot of her ace king and ace queen. So you continue the aggression here, and we see pot is the most conventional sizing here, I think, is going to be a B75, which is like around.
We also check raised ace
500.
king sometimes on some high cards, right?
Yeah, we do. It's true. So, so the aces and kings are really good for us to continue our aggression. The flush completing spade is really good for us to continue our aggression. And these low cards that actually complete the wheel, it likes to slow down on. But the way to simplify this, I think, in game, and I think if there's one lesson we can take from Solver, as I've said before, it's how to construct these check raise lines. Is aces and kings really good? We continue our aggression. These low cards, we slow down. And these middling cards were very polar, actually.
Yeah, I suppose the ace and the king, like it reduces their combos of aces or kings a lot, and then all their sort of overpairs on the flop, which would have called a check raise, are now kind of that significantly downgraded. Like
Yeah, that's
queens,
a good
jacks,
point.
tens.
This is, if you look at a pure range versus range interaction, this blocks their aces and kings. It blocks their continues. So turn was the 5 of clubs. So how does our hand continue? This is the question. Call, turn, 5 of clubs. And it doesn't want to give me what I want, which is us not actually doing anything. Oh, was the 5 of clubs really a slowdown card? Interesting. 5. Yeah, 5 of clubs was a real shutdown hand. It was really because she's calling a lot of 5s to our check raise, and now she's got trips. So we just shut down,
I mean,
except the 5 of spades.
the low cards are
Boom.
really bad, right? Because they're just not going to fold their over pairs, are they? You've pretty much.
Yeah, and
Maybe on the
also this reduces our the value, right? I mean, so much of our check raise range was around. Well, we don't have 5s in here, so I guess it doesn't make much sense.
I mean,
But
it's probably even worse in reality because in the solver's going to start folding. Like, say you bet turn, bet river, and they have like an overpair, they might start folding some of them, like tens or jacks. But in game, like say it comes low low, they're probably not
they're not
folding,
going
are
to
they?
fold them. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're gonna get sticky. You have a good point. Let's look at a couple other turns. So the 5 is a shutdown, right? So this is one of the shut. If you're constructing a check raised range, then a repeat 5 is a shutdown unless it's a spade. If it's a spade, we love it because that's really good for our check raise range. Spade, these low cards are really bad for us. But so let's just, why don't we just finish off this way? We'll go, we shut down. Now we check raised here. We got the 5, and she pounces on our weakness here. The question is, what do we do with our combo draw here? If she bets, so pot is 708 here now. Excuse me. Pot 708. If she chooses to bet small, which she's doing majority of the time, we're check raising. We don't give a shit. But we're not folding. And we're calling like jacks. We're double check raising like the combo draw. But if she chooses check 531, or just like eat some of this, let's run it. We have too much equity here. Queens are doing the same thing. We actually have if we go, let's look at normalize. Yeah, we don't really, this is, when we check raise, this is what our range is here. Okay, let's just look at one more thing and we'll pass it on. So let's give ourselves a card that we can continue on. So card, we really, let's say we get the dream flop and we get the 3 of spades, which gives us the steel wheel draw. Now that card is so good for us that we're just going to bet range, right? So we bet range, we're going to choose a small size. So if we've got all the flushes, we compare. We now are out of position. We are dominant. We have just a massive range advantage when the 3 of spade comes. So we're going to bet small. She doesn't have any imposition raises, important to say. And then let's say, not let's say like a 9 comes. And our ace 4 is going to say, eat it all. We have lots of bluffs. Our bluffs are like, this is all you can. So pot, essentially pot's left here. Pot is $111. And we have 100 and, I don't know, back, 112 back. So basics, compare. Where our last thing we'll look at is where are our bluffs here. And then we'll, so think about who wants to do hands next. So the most important thing is that if we chose to check raise bluff ace king with ace of spades, we're going to follow through here. Ace of spades, king of spades. We're going to go for the gusto with our ace high. So when you take this line with the ace of spades, the king of spades, and the flush continues, it's your opportunity to make them to put them in hell because they don't have the nut flush draw and they don't have the second nut flush draw. Or they don't have the second nut flush draw.
You're only doing it when you have a spade? Or
We can look at it more closely, but here, so let's look at what these pluses are. Ace of spade, ace of spade, ace of spade, ace of spade, king of spade, king of spade, king of spade. And then we have some middling like this is like a bluff with like, I guess like the set blocker, 7-6. It wants to pull, it wants to do it with 7-6. It thinks 7-6 on this line has about 17% equity as opposed to 7. So it is using it with like if we took this line of 7-6. And then you have like middling pair, like the middle pairs that we chose to make this line with, we just check. Try to get the showdown. And then our 6-5 has more value. And here are our queen jack. Notice queen jack. It wants to check call. And then here are all our flushes. These are thick value. All right, guys. That was my presentation of a solve. Anything else you guys want to see in this, or you want to move on to some more hands? Who's got hands?
I have hands. I think Melanie said she had hands.
I
Yeah,
have
Melanie,
one
you have
hand.
hands you'd like to show?
Yeah, I have one hand, and then maybe Lewis can take over. It's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, well, if you've
So
got a
I
couple
have
hands, feel free to bring a couple hands. Let's
okay.
show us 2 or
Let's
3
see.
hands. So you've put a
Yeah,
hand into the solve. Would you like me to share this?
yes, I just put it into the chat.
Okay, copy link.
So
Yeah.
this is a 1-3 live game, cash game at the cash game tables at the European Championships in Felden in Carinthia.
Nice. All right. So, can you guys see my screen?
Okay, so I'm player 9 on the button with queen jack off. Obviously.
All right. So we get a limp.
Yeah, the
Oh,
two
oh,
guys. My
you posted these in
Huh?
the Discord, didn't you?
I did. Yes, I did.
Sorry, I was roasting you.
Don't worry.
So I like
yeah.
your ISO here. I think this is a very good ISO. You've got position.
Yeah, and the two guys to my right, they were just constantly limping, like there was no racing going on at all. So
This
I
is, I
decided
think this
to-
is good because you have button, right? It's a
I'm
good
in
spot to
position,
ISO.
so yeah,
So flat behind,
from the small
initial
advantage.
limp for call. So this is kind of a dream spot. So you've got, I guess this would be a dream spot if you had aces, but we got position. That's the most important thing. All right, flop. All right, good flop.
Yes,
They check to you.
yes, they do.
So
If the others wanna participate and say what they would like to do now,
goes
is
above.
the-
What would you do here? You've got
Uh,
a pot of $24 of €24, and you
Yep.
have behind you've got €290.
Okay, sorry. I missed the preflop action. That was not a 3-bet. It's just a normal raise.
Yeah, I raised against one limper. Player 8 was a limper, and then I raised it up, and then the small blind flat called.
It's
Mhm.
an ISO.
Oh, I see. Okay.
ISO to a limp because we have button. Flat behind, right?
Yep.
Initial limper folds. So now we're going in position against this guy he flatted a ISO.
Okay. Against small blind, we could sometimes check here as well, but I personally just bet with a hand like this. So I would go for 1/3.
That's fine. So I think the first thing you think about here is, all right, so how deep are we? What's our SPR? You got a pretty heavy SPR here, right?
Yeah.
So you've got like 4, 8, you're an SPR 12. There's a lot of money here, but you're in a nice position. You've got position on this player. This player probably doesn't possess very many aces and kings. They're
True.
going to possess maybe a little bit of ace queen, but you got a good hand. Ace, uh, and so we want to bet here. I would choose I would choose a bigger size. Because you have positional advantage, and I don't think you can get check raised that often. Sometimes you certainly are.
Okay, but so if we want to give player one a range, I mean, he should be pocket pair heavy in this line, I guess. Cold calling and ISO.
Yeah, like
Look,
sevens, like 6 through 9s. You can have 4s and 5s too,
yeah.
but 6 through 9s a lot. And he's gonna have like suited connectors and stuff like suited that wants to see like a flop. Yeah,
And maybe they call bigger bets, but I think yeah. That's the reason I would go for 1/3
I think
because
1/3 is
he's
conventional. Let's see
uh,
what Melanie shows. So yeah, so 1/3. I think this is your most conventional sizing. And they call. All right.
okay. So it doesn't mean he never has ace queen, king queen here, but I would guess that people, if they have it, sometimes just raise, right, on the flop.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, I think his sets raise here. I think his 5-4 raises. Maybe some ace queen raises. But I think, his thick value is gonna raise here a lot. So people are gonna
Um,
trap. This is a pretty dryish flop. So people are gonna trap 5s. I would just call 5s here with a plan to
mhm.
check raise turn. But he's gonna have some, but we're generally gonna have the best hand here a lot. So this is a pretty ineffectual turn.
Um, the t-
We're 40 with 280 behind. What would you like to do here, Bozer?
mm, yeah, so on turn, I think he now will have hands that are a pair plus a draw on top. Something like 5-6 made a better draw now. 7-6. Is there maybe some 8-7? I don't know if people would just call it on the flop. But I guess so.
Yeah, and also the open enders now have a pair, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly. That's what I mean. They have a pair and open ender.
oh,
And there's also a flush draw, which he could have if he decided to check call a hand like a6 of diamonds.
so my plan here with this hand. Well, what size would you here, Bozer Bub, before I talk about what I would do?
First of all, I want to see what the player is doing. Did he check?
You checked.
Okay, and now I would bet a bigger sizing, and I would bet around pot.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I would bet like between $30 and $40 here. But I would also check back a lot of rivers. But I would bet polar here between $30 and $40. Yeah, I'd go bigger here.
I
Melanie.
think that's too small.
Yeah, I would go, your pot's 40 and you're betting less than half. I think your minimum bet here is 20. And I think you're better served with 30 or 40. So if you bet 30 or 40, you're also, I don't think you really gonna get check raised a lot, but there it is. So I think you're gonna see less check raises if you choose a bigger size here. Because he doesn't have aces and kings. And you do. So now what does he have? So he put in not a tremendously large check raise. So it was this kind of a 3x, a little bit more. What would you do here, Bozo?
I fold. Um, the thing is, he can still have trips 4s, trips 5s, trips 7s, and his line also makes sense with trips on flop. Because you also mentioned it, right? It's not so scary of a board. You can check call, check raise turn. And check raise turns are oftentimes very nutty.
So this
And
is
yeah,
the most underbluffed line in poker.
yeah.
But yeah,
I
he's gonna
mean,
Yeah,
have sets of 4s and sets of 5s here.
we could call here and evaluate on the river. Basically, we hope he checks and we check back and win. But folding here can't be wrong, in my opinion.
yeah. So I'm just gonna give you some contextual information maybe, because for me this was like a really difficult spot because the player to my left was A Slovenian who played pretty aggressive, pretty bluffy, and was overall a very, very good player. They bluffed me beforehand as well, but the bluffs are always intelligent. And I thought, like later on in the conversation, which I'm not going to tell you now, but like he basically, like I thought that 3-6 doesn't make a lot of sense because that would not be a call from the small blind, knowing how he played beforehand. Like I knew that he knew that that would not be profitable when I ISO'd that he calls with 3-6. So maybe it's the pocket pairs and all of that stuff, of course. But he could have also called, as we've said, with like these suited broadways. He could have a flush draw. So I thought what he could have, although I wasn't sure if that makes sense in my thinking, was suddenly at the table, I got really afraid of him having Queen 5 or something like that. And I got so fixated on that instead of thinking, you know, what are like all the possible things. And then I thought, you know, like, what are all the, like, what is his value? And I was trying to count this in my head and I failed, thinking about the combinations of value with which he could do that and the combinations of bluffs he could do that. And unfortunately, my head did not compute. So I was just left with, you know, a rough estimation. And as you can see, I folded and then he showed his cards.
Yeah, and
so
it
I
could be
think
something like A6 diamonds as a bluff, an example.
so. Let's
Why
try to
not?
guess his combo. So what was his combo? So he showed you his cards.
7-6, maybe.
I think 7-6 would be very good check raise here. Maybe like he's got like a wheel ace, like around like ace 3 diamonds. Like ace 3 diamonds would be good here.
He might just
Realistic
have
values
complete
of
air.
4s and 5s.
I mean, against the half
Certainly,
pot
certainly
size,
Lewis.
sometimes against the half pot size, sometimes I just assume they just have a marginal hand and then just check raise just to,
True.
just to see if I can take the pot down and probably give up the river.
So, all right, what's the reveal,
For
Mom?
me, at this point, the line was just either I fold or I have to put him all in because he just ran me over, like at the table. And the problem was first he was sitting to my right. Then he said something about he has to watch the finals, like Argentina against Spain. So he said to my left because that was where the screen was. And like, I believe him, but also it was a better position for him. And it was really bad for me.
That's a lie. He's lying.
Yeah.
That's the
Like he
most
also watched it
obvious
on his
lie
phone.
ever. He wants to play a position to you.
Yeah.
Or he wants to play in a position to someone else, maybe player 8 or player 7. But that's actually Jonathan Little. Actually, that's one of his recommendations when you want to change seats. Is that you say, I want to watch the game.
Yeah, I mean, in his defense, it was the only one, but like he could have watched it on his phone equally, right? Like, what's the point?
But so so what's the reveal? What did he have?
You can click on it. I'm showing it in the player.
That's a good bluff.
Yeah, and then we had a conversation about the hand, and he said he's blocking the nuts, and he thought that I would be afraid of the nuts, and yeah.
So I think you made a good play. So I think you have two options here on turn. So pot is 40. Checking back, I think your options here are to check back and bluff catch. Are to bet bigger. And I think when you use less than half pot here, you're inviting so you're probably using less than half pot because there is now a straight available. It's not the greatest card for us, obviously, the 7. So he is seeing this sizing, right? Relative to pot if he's a good player. And you're beating less than half here, which doesn't
Yeah, so he
really
probably
speak
thinks
to a fit, but I'm sorry,
Yeah,
go ahead. No.
he probably thinks I'm insecure about my queen, which I was.
If I could give you just one tip for this
Yeah,
hand, it's just you did bet small on the flop just to keep him a lot of hands from him. And if you want to do something on turn now, you should bet big or check. I
yeah.
think
Yeah,
that's
that's where
a
I was
common
getting.
line.
I would bet like $35 here, 30 or 40, or I would bet, or I would check. Checking is fine there. Checking
Yeah, also
against an aggressive player has a lot of advantage as well, because they're going to now feel compelled to bet with their marginal hands on river.
also
So
against
really
his
that's
range.
why we saw that in the solver too, right? So my opponent in my home game used the half bet, and solver doesn't like it. It wants to either check in position or it wants to go polar and use a very big size. So when you use a smaller size, I think it does invite some more check raises. So I would definitely choose to go either check, which is fine here, or to use a bigger bet, which is like 35 or 40. I think if you
And the
use
second
40
line,
here, he calls, and then you can just check river, right? You're in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
uh,
Mhm.
But
yeah, and the
checking is good
second,
too. Either line is good. Checking and then bluff couching is good against an aggressive player. Or saying I've got aces, kings, or I've got queens here. Making essentially a bet size that is bigger than what you feel the hand is worth to prevent check raises is a viable option here on the turn. I'm sorry, Bozobo. I was not letting you speak. Go ahead.
yeah, I wasn't sure if you are finished or not.
I'm all
I
done.
was just saying on flop. That's why I also said maybe checking is fine. If your opponent is aggressive, this hand will play out pretty easily after checking flop because he will bluff. Also, the benefit of checking the flop is you keep all his bluffs in. He cannot check fold, right? Because you check, and now he starts barreling on the turn with a lot of bluffs, and you have an easy call on.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, I
Yeah.
think check here is good on turn or big bet. Just the key is not to make kind of a in between choice. Either I'm polar, I've got queens, so I want all your money by river. Ah, just kidding. I'm checking back because I'm in position. I can do what I am in control of the hand. I'm in driver's seat. Or turn, I check. Okay, I know that you've got a lot of bluff potential. I'm going to call most of your sizings.
Mhm. Okay.
I
And the
hope
last
that's
thing, someone
helpful.
mentioned it in the chat. That was Josh. ISO
Yeah,
size pre-flop.
I think, yeah, people are saying check back turn. I think check back turn's a fine line. We
No, no,
also,
no.
that check back turn is a fine line, but also, when you think about his combo, he's not going to check raise like a $40 bet, but, well, he might, but he's going to check raise it less. But you're extracting value from his hand, right? You're extracting value from sixes here. I would have chosen to go very polar on turn. I would have gone like 35, $40. And then most rivers I would have checked back with this thing.
No, can you go to pre-flop, please? That is what I
Certainly.
mean. ISO size, which was too small.
You can go bigger. I mean, what size would you use here?
I mean, I personally use like 4x here, and I think going even bigger is better. Like 12 or maybe 13 and a half, maybe even 15 as an ISO sizing.
So I think a default ISO size here would be about 5x to $15. You can certainly choose to do that. I mean, especially on button, you're running the show in this hand. You are always going to have position. I think, yeah, $15 is a good size.
Because that is
Main thing is that
nine
you
space.
did
It's a
ISO
little
here.
bit small, right? It's a little bit
Yeah,
small.
that's too small actually. Yeah.
I think 12 to 15 probably is your sweet spot here. Yeah. Melanie, do you have any other hands for us?
Yeah, I can give you another hand that I am very ashamed of. This is actually from
Well, this is a
Vienna.
place for us to vent our shame.
Oh my God. I came back from Felden where I played against a relatively strong field of cash game players, a lot of like good tournament players who, just play cash games as well, but not too bad. And then I came to Vienna and decided to play the low stakes game 1-3. They do something on Wednesdays and Thursdays where they have free drinks. And basically, from the players, it was a much easier table. Like people only bought in with 30 big blinds and stuff like that, and were like roulette players who just tried themselves at the poker table and stuff like that. So much better position for me. But then there was one player who I thought was a better player, and then we will see what happens.
All right, so we have a lot of limps here, it looks like. So we've got playing 1-3, we've got fours, limper, limper. All right, so you got two early limpers. You have two options here. You can ISO or choose to set mine.
Yeah, I choose to set mine because any raise would also produce a lot of calls. And then they just call with king, queen suited, king, queen off.
That's fine. What would you do here, Lewis? Would you ISO fours if you're playing full ring, or would you set mine?
No. I just call.
I think
Because,
you, yeah.
for the same reasons Mel said, that, a lot of the time, even when you raise, like, if it's a splashy game, they're going to call anyway. So you're kind of set minded anyway, you know?
I
Because,
don't, yeah. I think that's fine. I think you can choose to ISO here. I would ISO here. I would not ISO here on any other position at the table, but I would ISO here because I have button. So I would have gone. I would have gone to.
Didn't you say some of the guys are short though? Or is everyone 100 deep here?
Yeah, I wasn't able to put that in,
Okay, yeah.
but a lot of people had, like the one villain against whom I played, he sat down with the full 100 big blinds that will
Okay.
transpire later. The rest were like short stacks.
Yeah, that makes me want to call even more because like they might just go all in and then you have to like gamble
Yeah, you don't have as
sometimes
many implied odds. But I
yeah, or
would
you're gonna have to
choose if
fold.
I had full stacks behind me here. I would ISO this. It's not comfortable to play, but oftentimes you can just win on flop when you bet. But it is very difficult to play these middling pairs as a three bet. And I wouldn't do it in any other position on the table, but I would choose to do it on button. But I think with that said, I think you and Lewis are right. You can just choose to set them. All right, so now we get the ISO from the small blind to a. I would go a little bigger. I go like 20 with all these people, but it was 15. Okay, now, Melanie, do you remember what the stack size is of these two players? Were they full stacks?
The one left to me
Yeah.
wasn't. Maybe like he had like 150 euros. So like 50, yeah, 50 big blinds.
What
And
about the caller?
the
ISO
the
caller.
caller, he had a full stack.
Okay, I think you can set
That's
mine
the
here.
guy who just sat down. It's the first hand that we play against him.
All right, so I think you can choose to I think you can choose to fast play. I mean, not fast play, you can choose to set mine. I mean, the old school rule is do you have 13 times what you have to invest? And obviously your set mining is more valuable against two full stacks. So I would set mine here. This guy in the small blind is short. One time dealer. Almost. Okay. We get a check. You get it checks around us. Right? Check. So our ISIO checked. Checked. Checking here is fine. And with your backdoor, and marginal showdown. It is very uncomfortable here to bet. I think betting is an option. But
I
because
would,
you're in the driver's seat, right? So if you bet here, assuming you don't check raise and they're playing more passively, if you don't actually improve on turn, you can choose to check back on turn, right? So you can choose to um check back on turn and try to get to the river. So there are some places to bet here when you're on the. I wouldn't bet with this combo again in any other position except here. What about you,
Mhm.
Bob? Are you going to choose to bet here? Or are you going to just check back?
He wrote it into the chat.
yeah, I always betting.
Okay.
And
So
I would bet like 1/3. Just mentioned 1/2. I mean, I personally don't mind, whatever. But I would bet here. Because our hand is actually very good. That's one of the best flops we can get.
good way to look at it. It is. There's a lot of really good cards that can come on turn, which will allow us to continue aggression. And we're gonna get a lot of folds because this definitely missed his like small blinds like ace, king, ace, queen, ace, jack. What this what an ISO call range is, we'll never know.
It could be pairs, but
Yeah, pairs,
any
suited connector, stuff that can make big pans. So I would have chosen to bet here. Sometimes I would have bet, I think about a third is right. It's multi-way. The pot's 50, you could bet like 15 to 20 here. But
Mhm.
we check.
Yeah.
And one time. Nope. Check. Check. So I would bet here a lot with the intent of checking back most rivers. I don't know if that's our best play here, but what else? What is everybody else doing here?
I mean,
now,
when I miss the bed flop, I'm just checking, trying to get to showdown.
yeah, now
Personally,
we downgraded to third pair. Now I don't want to bet again.
Yeah, I would
We-
yeah, our hand is not worth quite as much now, but I like betting here sometimes. Checking to navigate the showdown is fine too. We didn't really improve. We're against two ranges. We're against four cards instead of two. The checking there is fine.
So, I think if we bet here, we actually now we would have to go like half pot, maybe even a little bit bigger, like 30 bigs, because now the idea would be to fold those hands like pocket eights, right? Or pocket sixes, maybe.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I would check here, because yeah, as said, our hand just
You're gonna win
got
sometimes.
worse.
So not the greatest river. Yeah, I mean, I don't think your hand needs to turn no bluff. You're beating some stuff like ace nine. I don't know. King nine. You're beating a lot of stuff. You can just check back and realize here.
We
Well,
lose against pocket fives.
comes the reason why I'm ashamed.
No, it's fine. It's fine. But when we get here with this line, I
Bob,
check.
I've seen the hand. Trust me, it's definitely not fine.
Oh,
Oh my God.
Yeah, so
There we go.
we're beating, I mean, so the question we have to ask ourselves, so the way to look at this, I will show you an example. The way to think about this hand is so bet, call, out of position. So here we have like this is not the prettiest one to do it with, but I always like think of these in senses of river and earth. Here. Check. Yeah, this is a better one. I always think of our hands in a sense of being on the city graph, right? So we've got hands that are clear value at the very top that we always want to bet for value. Like here would be all of our flushes when it goes checks to us. So we always are betting a flush. It's stick value. We own this pot. We've got the value bet. And then we have hands in the middle, right? Which are like the pairs here. Aces on this line, queens, jacks, fours, eights. Here's a hand like yours, sevens. These just want to check back because they're going to win sometimes. You know, their equity is 50%. They've got some pot share. They're not going to win all the time, but they're going to win some. And then we have hands that we bluff because they have absolutely no value unless we bluff. Ace king, ace, you know, these kind of hands. These hands have no equity. So we bluff them because they're trash. And we could never win a showdown. And we have hands that win sometimes at showdown. And we have value. And we could see this hand is going to win sometimes at showdown. So you want to check it back. So you want to check this. This is just going to win sometimes. So you check it back. So we check, we bet, and we are going to get called by king 8, queen 8. And we are going to fold. So they are, she's trapping the set here. It's got like sevens or threes.
Yeah, so that was my big mistake. That was my big mistake because I was like, I was kind of, I had a faulty thought mechanism where I thought that this player, like if they would have had a set, especially if it is a pair of trees, pair of deuces, that he would be like fast playing that, because what's the point of checking to two people? Like, sure, you can let them catch a check, but then at some point, even like on the river, you know, nobody bets, like, and so I'm thinking there's no deuces, no trees, no sevens, not even a single queen or a check around, right? Like,
yeah,
there's just nothing, because since I'm in position, if they want to generate some money in the pot, they have to do it beforehand. Like, and then checking back the river as well. For me, that was like, nobody has anything. I have a pair of fours. This might be good, but I do not want any calls. So that is why my sizing is the way it is. And then I had the psychological problem that in Felden, I got bluff, check, raised or like re-raised on the river like 60-70% of the time. Like, maybe this has to do with the fact that I am a woman, or I play passively, or I just play bad. But I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here, because the only thing, and that was my thinking at that point, the only thing that I am losing against, so I'm excluding a queen and a check because they would have bet. I'm excluding the deuce, 3 and 7. So what I'm losing against is a pair of fives and a pair of sixes. And that was also why I chose the size on the river that I chose. And then I thought, that is the only two combinations that I lose against. And there's many more combinations, like broadways, ace 4, like stuff that, I mean, not ace 4 because I have the 4, but like other stuff that, like, yeah, is also not arriving there. And so for me, this was like, I don't know, flipping a coin, or maybe I was just, again, not able to do the math, or maybe I should just say that at 1-3, whenever I get re-raised on the river, I just automatically fold, and maybe that's my new rule. I don't know. And look, if this would have been online at NL5 or NL10, which I usually play, then I would have, maybe I would have also called, and then if I lost, I would have been, well, no problem, right? But like, since this is 1-3 and I'm still building my bankroll, I was like, what a huge idiot move from me to first pot it and then call the re-raise, because yeah. But then I was like, and then we can now see what Willen has. If you continue with the,
so let's take a guess. I'm gonna guess. We're looking at pocket sevens here. Anybody else want to take a guess? Lewis knows the answer. Bozer, what do you think? I'm gonna go with pocket sevens.
So I'm just
A
thinking
set of
what hands I would. Yeah, maybe. I just wonder what hands I would choose the sizing with. It's like if I have queen 10 suited here, maybe, and then would I call it his raise when I have queen 10? Tough. Okay, but
I
I
don't
don't
think he
know
needs no
what
size.
hand. I don't know what hand he has.
This is 2 pair plus.
He
Come on,
has
pick one,
yeah,
man.
queen 7 suited.
Queen 7
He's stupid
suited.
enough.
Pocket twos.
But,
So so
it's trips.
I think
And so for me, I was just so super surprised to see this hand because I thought this is bottom set and he is not doing anything
not
with the
fast
hand.
playing.
Yeah. And I
Well,
was
the
just
first thing
like,
to think about, I think Melanie, there's a couple hints in the texture, in the flop texture, and then on the run out.
mhm.
But I interrupted you. What were you going to say? I'll let you finish your point if you want.
I wasn't saying anything. I was just saying that like I was super surprised to see the deuces because I myself would not have played them like that. But now I know
So
that
there's a
people do.
couple hints, I think, as to why he chose to play this way, and I consider to play this way as well.
Mhm.
And the hints are in the texture, right? So let's look at this texture. It's a pretty dry flop. I mean, there's some wheel draws, there's some 4-5, 5-6s, but it's pretty dry. So he chooses to trap here, right?
Which is good on the flop. I mean, yeah.
And then what then we get this jack. Now the first question I have is, does this jack interact with the board in any way? Does it complete any draws?
No.
Not really worried about anything. Maybe 8, 9, 9, 10. But the other thing is that it's rainbow, right?
Yeah.
No flush is possible. So he's definitely has a trap candidate. Check. Check. So a lot of people would bet here because they want to get value. So this trap here is, I would say, unusual. But if there's any texture where you're going to see a trap check with sets, it's here. Because it is a very dry flop. I mean, there's some straight draws in there, but it's rainbow. It's pretty unconnected. So he chooses the trap. And again, it is unusual that he's using a trap here. People trap. So like I was playing live the other day, a tournament actually, and I had like King 10, and the guy flatted next to me. I check on flop. I have nothing. I check on turn. I have nothing. And then like the king came on river. So I value bet and he insta shove. I was like, what do you have here? How's this even possible? I've got ace king. So I call and he was trapping aces. He flatted aces. He flatted flop. He flatted turn. And then he value shoved river. And
But
I didn't believe him.
he flatted flop and turn means that you did bet.
No, I'm sorry. He checked back. I was
Okay.
sorry. He checked back flop, checked back turn. And then I value bet with my ace king when the king came on the river, and he in position raised me.
Yeah.
And I said, I just was like, what do you have here? This doesn't make any sense. But generally we can overfold. I would say that your best line here would have been to check back and realize equity.
Yes. Yes, because I was just not following the rule that I learned so early on in the poker coaching thing from Jonathan Little that like I have a marginal hand and I should just check. And I did not because I don't
Essentially
know.
turning your marginal equity into a bluff here,
Yeah.
saying that you've got 2 pair plus.
And it's just so annoying because like I know this is also like a faulty thought mechanism and everything, but like when I played in Felden, I was first up to 800 and then I was down -40. So, but like it was so tough. Like I was probably one of the fishes there, you know? And then I go to Vienna where like most of the table just sits with a broken stack and they just limp, 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 limp. And then I just lose one full stack in this stupid hand, you know? It's like no discipline or no sort of proper thought process.
Yeah, that's frustrating. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a couple ways to work on that. I would think about, I mean, Brian's out here. Brian's got a system, right? I mean, he clearly has worked out a system that works for him. It's not going to work for everyone. It wouldn't work for me because I'm not as innately aggressive as he is. And I've probably spent more time in a solver. So like when I was going through the hand, like the check raise hand, the hand where we could have check raised, I was trying to work on for myself and obviously for others. What would be the system if we did choose to check raise? And so what would be our process? So there's a couple things you can do to work out a system. One way is just to practice and just do practice hands in a solver. In Peak or GTO Wizard or some other tool where you can't practice this thing, but you could just like go through like a single raise pot over and over and over again and begin to understand how the mechanics operate.
I mean,
Well,
is there a way to say, is there maybe a way to say the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to look at because one mistake that I did, I think in my thought process was I only started recapping the action from the flop and I didn't think about which hands would flat call a small blind re-raise. But even if I would have thought about that, I think I would have thrown my deuces away. And the only reason that I called the fours was because player 4 already called. And because I respect the small blind re-raise, you know, I don't like, maybe I call with higher pairs, but I just did not see it. And I think I was blind to the deuces, like completely. And then I thought, and if I
That
thought
makes sense though, right? I mean, so that's one of the essential natures of live poker is that like everything is very wide. People show up with crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So
and
the,
so like
I mean, the one
usually, I mean, I can tell you what I usually do when I think, and maybe you guys can tell me what's wrong with it. Like I think about the pre-flop, flop turn, you know, what happened on each of the streets. I think about bet sizing. Well, there was none. So then, yeah, like I always face problems on the river, and what I try or already start trying to do, I mean, obviously if I'm on a flush draw and so on, I know my price, if I can call or not, or, you know, stuff like that. But I have a hard time with the counting of combinations and to think about how many combinations of value are there in his range, technically, theoretically. I mean, we don't really know, but like, you know, technically, and how many combinations of bluffs, and then how do I compare that to the price that I need to call? Is there even a way
here
to?
it's very hard to count combinations. So counting combos and blockers have two things in common. They're more effective the more filtered a range is, right?
Mhm.
So that technique, which is effective a lot of times on the river, is not effective here because no one's got a filtered range, right? It's checked down the river. So you don't have, so like you kind of think of it as a funnel, right? So as we go through flop and there's bets and there's check raises, and then we get to turn and there's more betting and there's different sizings, then we get to river. A smaller and smaller amount of combinations are getting to the river. But here, there was no funneling, there was no filtering. So that tool cannot work on this one because we don't have any filtered ranges. Everybody has everything they started with, and we're multi-line. So when we can't filter people's combos, we can't range them effectively using those kinds of tools. The best way to do that is to fall back on the value of your hand. And what you have here is a marginal hand, marginal made hand. that wants to check back on that.
Yeah.
Melanie, I'd just say for low stakes poker, especially live, like if you just never call a river check raise without the nuts, you'll be fine. Like people are rarely check raise bluffing unless they're an absolute maniac. So if you don't know anything about them, just fold to a river check raise. Unless they're crazy. I'll just say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that was my mistake because like I didn't know anything about this player. He just sat down. And the river bluff raises that I did call in Felden, like I knew that the player was doing this repeatedly to other players because I was watching when I wasn't involved in the hand. And so I had this information and I called down correctly in many spots. But here, yeah, there was no funneling. That's correct. I can't even, that's the whole
Yeah, that's
range.
great. You pay
Yeah.
attention and see that they're a maniac. Yeah, you can call them down. But normal people don't do that,
Yeah.
without the nuts.
Yeah, he's got another combo which he chose to trap. Some people love to trap. They're just like, that's what gets them off. He's a
Yeah.
term. So yeah, I would have checked this back. I mean, but I also want to say I think this is one of the few times we brought hands. And so not everybody always has the courage to bring hands. So I really appreciate you doing it. It's what makes this a viable, fun session. So thank you for bringing these two hands.
Sure.
Do you have any more? Or is that it for you?
I don't want to take up all the space. I can also continue on Monday with one or two hands. I think
All right,
Louis
well,
also.
I'll let you I'll let you not show your hands today, but please come on Monday and bring your other hands because
I will.
I think we have other things to learn from. So just to summarize thought process here. When you can't filter people and you don't have really clarity about their ranges, just fall back on what the value of your hand is.
Yeah.
And the value of your hand is a marginal maybe hand. And so we want to check back here. Sometimes we're going to win. I mean, we're going to win maybe 30% of the time, 40%, but that's enough. So that's my final point. All right. I think Louis, you have the hands. And you've been very patient.
Sorry, I have to start playing now. It's 7 o'clock Friday.
Is it? So you are done?
Yeah. I'm gonna leave now.
Okay. All right, Louis, no worries. Anybody else have any hands?
I'm playing at the same time right now, and I just hopped in to listen. But listening about the hand, I just maybe would add as a tournament player that when you have these bluff catching spots, one thing to also think about is like, are there better combinations than my 4-4 that I want to bluff catch with? Because like we certainly don't want to call with necessarily every bluff catcher. So we can also distinguish that maybe when you have like a weak 7 or maybe a weak jack, at least you block some value with your combo, but with 4 you don't really block much.
Yeah.
And if someone is betting really big and he has no bluffs, then it's even worse. So that's also a good point to just think about, just like he said before, that you have a marginal made hand, but not just that where is your hand in your range? Like, do you have better weaker hands that are also very weak hands that you could bluff catch it with? So that's how you wouldn't get too much into whack with ratios, because if we call every bluff catcher, then of course we're just gonna be in shambles.
Yeah.
So that's maybe something to think about.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. Yeah, thank you.
All right. So I think I'm gonna call it. And Melanie, bring back your hands on Monday, and we'll go over the rest of them.
Sure thing. Okay.
Unless Bozabub, you have some hands you want to share?
Um, so how long are we going to do here? Because we already have 2 hours in, I guess.
Yeah. We have 2 hours in. We can stop now, or we can continue. It's up to you.
No, I bet it can go longer, but all hands I would have is more like what we did in the last time. We talked about my preflop that I should not call that much or limp. I changed that, and it's around how many hands is it? It is 60 hands. But I mean, I don't know how much time we have. We could go fast through them and just focus on preflop.
Oh,
Instead of
do you have
post-flop.
any hands in there that are particularly interesting? I mean, I think the way to look at sharing hands, Bozabub, is to look through your session and decide which hands have where you have the toughest time and you have the most complex decisions, or you had the most involved decisions, and then bring those to the group. As opposed to looking at a whole hand review session, I think it's got a place. But I think
Oh,
probably it's better to look back at a session or 2 sessions or 3 and say, okay, these are 2 or 3 hands which I found the most perplexing or the most interesting from the session, and then bring those to the group.
okay. I mean, I have one hand which is just a preflop spot, and maybe we can look at that one.
All right, we'll
Yeah,
look at your one hand as it pre-flops up, and then we'll call it. So I'm going to stop sharing, and we'll
I
look at your
have to
pre-flop
use.
decision, and then we will wish everybody good luck this weekend.
So I hope that worked. Do you see it?
We
Yes.
do. So you've got 7s.
Yep. All right. There's a race, and so I'm in the small one, and we said I shouldn't call it much. Is this a hand you would call from small blind?
In theory, you don't call
All right.
it.
We
But
don't call.
no, yeah, excellent. Yeah, okay. So you got your free bet, and what you're doing is you're trying to take down the money pre and not pay Rick.
By the way, I don't like the sizing. I think 10 is good enough from the small blind. From the big blind, I would go 12.5.
I love this sizing. I think it's great sizing. And it's great sizing because you're deeper. He's got 126 big blinds, and you've got and this player behind is short, whatever. Doesn't matter.
Mm.
Okay, so you've got a
The
click
guy is
here.
100. The big blind is also 100 bigs.
Okay.
103.
All right. So here I love your sizing. You are deeper against this guy, and I think your sizing is appropriate. And you also, because this is cash, you're very motivated to take it down trade and not pay rate. And so I did your size. I think it's the right size. And then this guy clicks you.
Yep. Big blind.
Excuse me, I have a bit of a cold here. So this guy
wasn't.
clicks you. So that's really bad. This is a fold. It would be a call in some situations where you're deeper, but not here. No. So once you
And-
get up to if you were 250 big blinds, the old school rule is that you want to be able to make 13 times what you have to invest.
Mhm.
So, which by the way, nicely correlates with the percentage of times that you intercept on flop, which is 13. So,
Okay. What
here
would be interesting for me here is the range we 3-bet from the small blind against cutoff.
well, in theory, you don't at high rate, you don't have any flats. So every hand you have is a 3.
What's the weakest pair?
I
Is it sixes?
think it's depends on the position of. Why don't we look at it? Depends on the position of the aggressor. Hold on 1 second. pull it up,
we
but
will you
I
screen
think
share
sevens are
that?
definitely in there. I would definitely do this with sevens.
Hmm.
No question. So sevens is in this game. So like if we look at Pete,
So I
working,
will
it's working.
close my sharing and you share.
We'll leave it up because there's another question here.
Okay.
He uses a click sizing, right?
Yeah, it's around 26, but I think that is
Yeah,
a
you make a good fold
good
here 'cause
size. It's a good sizing for him.
you don't have enough to. This is very strong. This is like usually
Yep.
like top 3% of range. And you
I
still don't
mean,
have enough to set mine here.
he invested already 1/4 of his stack, so I say he's committed. Basically, he has aces here, maybe ace king suited, ace king offsuit.
Yeah,
Who
he's
knows?
top 3%. Top 3% of his range here. So it was the initial aggressor was in cutoff.
Yes.
All right. So that's one second. All right. So I'm going to share this. So here we have a sliver with sevens.
Sixes is raising more. Okay.
And whatever, that's but sevens are fine. So,
Hmm.
and I like your size because you were deeper than 100 bigs. You were like 130 or 40. And I think your size was good. Now, if we raise here, and he clicks it like he did, and he's in his range, I don't think it includes King Jack suited. I don't think it includes King Queen suited. I think it's probably a lot higher than this. And he oops, was this no, sorry, I didn't do this wrong. Raise, he clicks it, he folds. So it mixes it in here, but I think you can just fold. Sevens themselves are shoving or folding.
Hmm.
But you don't really have enough stack depth to try to set mine here.
Yeah.
Essentially what it's saying, it's not worth that much. And so we can overfold. Because I don't think his range includes like King 7 suited, King 10 suited, and his queen off. I think a lot of that folds. But your siding is good. So yeah, I think we played this hand perfectly. The other thing I would point out here is that when I'm sorry, go ahead.
People certainly are going to under four bet, so folding sevens feels very good to me.
Yeah, I think it's the right choice. Yeah, you're right.
Oh,
And the other thing I was going to point out real quick is that rake and no rake, right? So just six max has got rake in it. So cutoff raise, small blind, no flats, right? We just have three better fold. Eight max is made with chippy V where there is no rake. Cutoff raises, small blind all of a sudden gets flats. So this is all about rake. When there's high rake and you're paying high rake, we're all paying high rake. Just it probably makes sense not to have a flatting range in the small blind. We all cheat, but it's probably best not to.
I think I have another hand, which is actually I just
Sure.
found it.
I'm going to stop sharing. Let you show it.
That one. Okay. It's folded to me. I'm on the button. A race. Get 3-bet. Can we call?
Yeah, I think you call this.
Good. What now?
You are generally don't have many imposition raises. I would choose to fire.
Yeah,
Realize my equity.
I decided the same. And I thought maybe I can see on the turn what he does. No, he
This is an interesting
checks.
hand. If he checks, so you can, so if you bet here, you know, the good thing about this hand is that you know you can call a check raise, right?
Can you repeat
Because if he
that?
check raises you, you're still drawing to the nuts. You're still drawing to a straight draw, so
Mm-hmm.
a bet here has more value because you call a check raise. So I would do a lot of betting here, small, and then call a check raise, but I would do a lot of your betting here small and then check back river.
What is a small sizing for you here?
About 10 big blinds. Good size. And he check, okay, so he shoves. Well, that is one check raise we can't call. So we're being offered 37% and we probably have like, or 18% to hit the straight. And so we probably need to just hit a 5 here, a 6. Those are two decimal. We don't have the pot odds to buy here. We just have to fold meetings.
You know what's interesting? You came to the same sizing, but for different reasons.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So my decision here is basically on flop. This was like a standard C bet, right? And he can have ace king here, ace queen, ace jack, stuff like this. And he's after he checks, because his three betting range is kind of polar, right? But once he checks, I would guess I can fold out a lot of ace X, which have equity against me, but I don't have to bet big here to get them to fold. Let's say he has ace queen. I can bet small, he will fold. I don't
I
think
mean,
he
yeah,
will
I mean,
check
you
call.
could be ahead here. I mean, this could be like
Yeah, I
kind of
will
tough.
be
It
ahead
sucks to
here.
fold here, but essentially he's saying, yeah, you just overfold. Yeah, just overfold.
Yeah, he gets
Kind
this
of sucks because
jam.
he has bluffs, which might be reactive to your small size.
Hmm.
It's like ace 9 of clubs, which now have decided to turn their hand into a bluff and shove. But you just when you, I mean, pot odds here are what they are, and you just can call because you're only beating bluffs. So yeah, good fold. Good fold. It sucks because we don't get to realize our equity. And you use the right solver approved size, and he might be just reacting to your sizing. The one option you have here is to bet big on turn, which will reduce his frequency of check raises. So you can bet like, you know, over half, or you could bet, I would go, sometimes you could be 75 here. And you be 75 with the intention of checking back river.
Yeah, my problem with betting big here was like if he somehow has an overpair. I don't know if he would play it like this. If I bet big, he calls. I always
And it
lose
looks like
to
he
the
has
river.
thick value. It looks like he's trapped with something, but like sevens. But he's not gonna free that sevens that often. So we can't see the hand, we just see your filter tool.
Yeah, I I
Are you looking?
cannot I don't have showdowns for these hands.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I think yeah, this kind of stinks because you don't get to realize your equity, but you made a play that resulted in you,
Okay, one
resulted in your
last
equity
one.
being denied.
One last one. Then
Yeah, so I would choose a bigger size. Um, you can, I mean, you can choose a bigger size though, if you want. So, all right, guys, I think that's it for today. We did a good 2.5 hours. You want to show another hand? Last hand?
last end.
All right, last hand declared.
But
So,
it will be a quick one.
well, this is a fold. There's a clear fold.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, this is fun. So I'm gonna take that back. This definitely can fit into your 3-bet bluffing range, and I like this play. So forget what I said. This is a good play because you've got dead money on here. Uh, Mr. Romano probably won't. This probably isn't as good a plan in tournaments, because people don't three bet as much,
Mhm.
and so this three bet range is gonna be more linear in tournaments. But where people are going to three bet a little bit more in cash, I think this is a good bluff. And now we have to fold.
Ooh.
You're probably flipping against he's probably wanting to run it with like nines and tens. Well, we just fold. My guess is he's got like sixes through tens there, and he wants to run it.
I would much rather like to three bet it against some later position than low jack in cash.
You'd
I don't
like
know if-
to four bet or three bet?
I said three bet.
Oh, okay.
Like I would want a much stronger hand to do it with.
Well, we're four betting here, right?
Yes. It's
Oh,
a
we are?
four-bet. Yeah, because so I raised, button three bets me, and big blind cold calls. So I put him on some stronger pairs.
He's got
And
like
now,
fives through sevens, fives through nines or something. Suited connectors.
Hmm.
and now I have king
After
queen
him
offsuit, and I
overcalling,
was
I'm really thinking about folding. Really.
yeah.
Folding is
I think
fine, and I think it's a default. This is a four bet bluff. And I think it's important to encourage people to take aggressive lines. Because I think people tend towards passivity. And so when someone takes a four bet bluff here, I say, good for you. It's a good play. You've got good blockers, the kings and the queens, and you just ran into a maniac who said, okay, well, let's run our equity with tens, nines, and sixes and see what happens.
Hmm.
He's got like tens, probably nines and eights, and he's like, all right, well, let's just run it.
Yeah. I'm not sure if people take notice. I mean, I'm pretty active at the tables pre-flop, and you know, maybe it's that he tries to trap me, but I don't
I don't think
believe
he's
that.
trapping. I think he just is a gambler. You know he's a gambler too because he is flatting. He just
Yeah.
want. I mean,
All right, that's it.
all right, guys. I think I like your play. I like your four bet bluff here.
Okay, nice.
This is stuff that is not in solver because we have no flats and three behind. But you've got dead money from ostensibly a capped range. So I like your play. I think you made a good play.
Good. Thank you.
You're welcome. So, Melanie, bringing the rest of your hands on Monday.
Yes.
All right, guys. I'm gonna say thank you very much for coming to my study session. I hope that you got a little bit from going through the solver and the hand I showed, and I got a heart. Hey, that means it was a good session. That's all I needed. Now you made my day, Melanie. I appreciate that.
Okay, amazing.
In all sincerity. So, all right, guys. I hope you come back on Monday, and thank you for coming.
Thank you. Have a nice weekend. Bye bye.
Yes, good luck at the tables.